This is MRN Out Loud on MRN.com, presented by Bloomin' Mondays at Outback Steakhouse. And also brought to you by Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
MRN Out Loud with you again. Woody Kane joined by Grant Enfinger, who drives that number 98 truck at ThorSport Racing. Everybody else is out west, so we got Grant to come in here and talk with us since the Truck Series is now off until they return to Martinsville Speedway. Joey Meyer is on special assignment, but he would yell at me if I didn't wave little Joey around and point out that Kevin Harvick got another top 10, so you get a free Bloomin' Onion at Outback Steakhouse if you're catching this on a Monday. Make sure you go by and say, hey, Harvick did it again. Give me that free onion. What do you think about what we've seen so far, man? We had this new package talk. We didn't see it at Daytona. Obviously, it doesn't affect the Truck Series, but that's been all the talk in the early part of the season. I think NASCAR had to try something, but we've seen like 3 different versions of it so far, so it's kind of hard to hit a moving target.
Really like 4 different versions. So for all 4 races, have been definitely different packages, and you've had different results. I think a lot of what fans want, or what they complain about or whatever, I think it just changes.
Well, don't pretend like you're just a driver. You're a fan too.
I am a fan of the race, and I from a fan aspect, I am happy with the direction they're going.
Mm-hmm.
From a driver's standpoint, I'm not.
Right.
You know, I'd rather see a lot of horsepower, very little downforce from a driver's standpoint. But from a fan perspective, you know, you want to see those big drafts that somebody gets, and you want to see some tighter racing and stuff like that. And I think Vegas showed some of that. I think Phoenix is Phoenix. It's just going to be a great race regardless. Even if Kyle did kind of stink up the show a little bit, it was still a great race, I feel like.
Here's something that's puzzled me about Phoenix is teams and drivers and crew chiefs say it's a short track race, but it's a mile long. How do you square those two?
In NASCAR terms, it's a short track. You know, from a true short tracker's view, a Saturday night racer, no, it's a big track.
It's not a bull ring.
It's not a bull ring. You still will get aero tight beside somebody. You'll get free if you're underneath them, and stuff like that. So it's not a true short track, but in NASCAR standards, we only have a couple of true short tracks. What is it? Bristol and Martinsville is about it.
The old school
Exactly.
short tracks, that we have anymore on the circuit.
So we're grasping for straws a little bit from a certain aspect, but Phoenix is a great place. I wish we had more tracks like that are just, you know, they're kind of their own animal.
Kyle Busch almost sweeps Vegas, then goes to Phoenix and does sweep there. He's I think 199 victories across all 3 of NASCAR's National Touring Series right now. I mean, love him or hate him, but the guy's going to be a Hall of Famer, isn't he?
Absolutely. You know, I felt kind of bad. We leave Atlanta. We had a decent run for our 98 Champion Power Equipment Ford F-150 there, and we left there 3rd. Weren't in contention, though. Nobody was going to beat Kyle Busch. We go to Vegas. We had an up and down day. We didn't finish very good.
You lost a plug wire or something there, didn't you?
Everything. Yeah. We lost everything. But Kyle pretty much did the same thing there. So kind of from a truck perspective, you think, man, how do we beat this guy? But then you see on Saturdays, you see on Sundays, he kind of does the same thing. It's not just us. Yeah. So he's pretty good.
So here's the thing I got to ask, and we ask all the drivers who come in because you hear from fans, and I'm sure you've seen it. Oh, that guy's just going down there and beating up on the guys in the Truck Series, and he should stick the cup and all that. But most of the drivers we've talked to, I think all of them, in fact, have said, no, we want to race against the best.
Absolutely. We want to race against the best. We want to beat the best. I mean, that's the only way you get better. You know, it'd be no different than me stepping down a rank and running a late model or running an ARCA car or whatever. I'd still like to do that when I can. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. As a racer, you want to race. So, you know, NASCAR has limited guys like Kyle from racing too much. So maybe,
I think they get, 5 now?
I think it's 5 in the Truck Series and like 8 in the Xfinity Series. So, I mean, they are trying to make it to where it doesn't
overwhelm it
or affect the championship standings at the end of the year quite as much. But overall, from a driver perspective, we want it. I like it.
I mean, is there a factor of, I won all these races, but you weren't racing against the best if those guys aren't there?
I think there is. Yeah. You want to beat the best. You don't want to be the best, but we didn't let these guys race from a driver's perspective.
All right, let's check out what Kyle had to say after he won the race at ISM Raceway in Phoenix.
Yeah, it was certainly tough to pass. Yes, it wasn't easy. you were really stuck and mired behind guys. I got close to Blaney, and then I got real tight, and then he kind of got away, and then I ran him back down, and it's just kind of like an accordion thing. You cool your stuff off, you go back after him, and then you get too hot and too tight when you're behind him, and then you got to cool back off again. And then you got to wait for traffic. Once Blaney got the traffic, he had the same problems I had, because now he's behind other cars that are in front of him. And then that's when you kind of get to see whose cars are better than other cars, and not just the guy who's out front, is when you can maneuver and get through traffic and stuff like that. So I just started working the racetrack and just started moving around and trying to find something and trying to get low and high and everywhere in between to try to just, keep trying to find clean air or cleaner air in order to get by him.
Okay, the little burp aside there, which kind of made us both chuckle, he has said in the past and continues to say that this new package kind of reminds him of truck racing, and where you guys are all about the momentum rather than the horsepower you mentioned earlier, right?
Absolutely. It is in truck racing, and just like this new package that is implemented this year, it's all about momentum. If anything stalls your momentum, if you have to crack the throttle at all, that's bad, because it takes longer to overcome that. So there's certain aspects of it that are frustrating from a driver's perspective. But when you get to a big track, not Phoenix, but when you get to a big track like we were at Vegas a couple weeks ago, you can get that draft effect, and it can help the car that's behind you. But still, from a downforce perspective, you still want that clean air. There's still an advantage to be the leader.
Maybe not quite as much.
Maybe not quite as much.
Yeah.
But I mean, a good driver is a good driver. He's going to excel in a high downforce or a low downforce situation. You see that with Kyle. I did think it was interesting this weekend that really right from the beginning of the race, you had a clear short run car in Ryan Blaney, and you had a clear long run in Kyle Busch. So it was kind of fun to see not one person just went and checked out. But
and that's the point, though, isn't it? That's
the point. You want to see good racing. You want to see it side by side. But if somebody does hit on it and dominate it, they did a good job that week. That doesn't necessarily make it a bad race. If you see all the craziness and all the back and forth behind them, just because a guy does get out there and dominate doesn't necessarily mean a bad race for me.
I mean, a late model won't go as fast as a cup car or as fast as a truck at certain tracks, and you don't have all the power that a cup car has, or Legends cars aren't all that powerful or all that fast, but you can still have good racing. It's relative, right, compared to the competition?
Exactly. And so I think how you judge good racing, I guess, is different from every fan's perspective. But how I judge it is to see good side-by-side racing as a general rule, to be able to pass for the lead, to see comers and goers. And maybe we didn't have all that, but we've got a lot of it.
Yeah, we really do. We're going to take a quick time out here on MRN Out Loud. I should have pointed this out in the beginning. Grant is the point leader now in the Gander Outdoors Truck Series, and they'll get back to action not this coming week at Auto Club, but the following week at Martinsville. So we'll talk a little more about that and get to know them a little bit better here on Out Loud. Stay with us, everybody.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse. Blooming great.
The area's largest motorcycle marketplace comes to life at Daytona International Speedway, March 8th through the 17th during Bike Week 2019. Stop by the World Center of Racing and take a spin on the newest rides in the free demo ride area. Stroll down Harley-Davidson Thunder Alley, check out the annual Hot Leathers Fashion Show, and visit the displays and aftermarket vendors. Marketplace admission, demo rides, and parking are free. For more information on race tickets to the Daytona TT and Daytona 200, visit DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
You're smart, got your own trucking business, making it happen. What if I told you there was a place online where you could connect with other smart owner-operators just like you? It's an online community called Team Run Smart, where people share advice on truck maintenance, fuel savings, healthy habits on the road, and so much more, all to make your business more profitable. And it's all free. Visit TeamRunSmart.com today to check it out. You'll be glad you did. TeamRunSmart.com, brought to you by Freightliner Trucks.
Back on MRN Out Loud, Woody Kane along with Grant Enfinger, who drives that number 98 Ford F-150 for ThorSport Racing. He's the point leader in the Gander Outdoors Truck Series. Coming up, though, you guys have a little break here. Are you a guy that gets kind of antsy when you're just sitting around and you want to do something extra, or do you kind of regroup and study video and all that stuff?
I'm definitely antsy. So we've only had 1 week off to this point, but it feels like a month to me. So I'm ready
it used
to
to
get
be
back after
3 or 4, didn't it?
Yeah. So this time we have the next weekend off, and then we go to Martinsville, then Texas, and we have like 4 or 5 weeks off. So
that's got to drive you stir crazy, doesn't it?
Big time. So kind of get readjusted to home life again with the wife, and then we're back to wide open again.
Does she go, aren't you ready to go back on the road yet?
It comes and goes. Sometimes, like when I'm on the road, she misses me and wants me to be home. And then once I'm home for about 2 days in a row, then she's like, don't you have somewhere to go?
Yeah, see, your wife sounds like my wife, and that's exactly what happens at my house too. But in this off time, you're going to have a little fun this weekend, right? Tell me about that.
Absolutely. So Ford Performance has been a great partner for ThorSport Racing, and now they're trying to help the drivers some too. They're letting us run their IMSA Ford Mustang GT4s this weekend at Sebring. So I'm going to be a fish out of water because I don't really know much about road course racing in general. I didn't even realize Sebring was in Florida until a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So
we got one of our guys says insists it's Sebring, and I know that's not right.
No,
he's wrong. You're right. He's wrong.
All right. All right. I'll take that. But no, it's definitely going to be a challenge for me. But really looking forward to learning a lot. Actually, an old friend of mine, Chad McCumbee, is going to be kind of driver coaching us a little bit down there, and there's going to be 4 of us from ThorSport that are going to be down there. I'm going to be sharing a car with Crafton. So, man, like I said, I feel like I'm going to learn a lot, but I feel like I got a long ways to go.
What's up with Crafton broadening his horizons? He was always the asphalt guy. Then he got kind of something up under his skin about Eldora and started going dirt track racing until he could get a victory.
He's a full-time dirt guy right now.
Yeah.
I think he just does the truck stuff on the side.
That's the way it feels. Have you messed with any of the sports car stuff, road course or not, before, or just playing around?
So Ford and the guys at Multimatic actually let us test these cars at Canada last year before the race for a few hours, so I did get to be acclimated with it a little bit, but it's one of those things that's extremely fun, but it'll spoil you pretty quick. It's got the paddle shifting and the ABS.
Does that seem weird based on what you've done all your whole career?
Definitely. I mean, my whole life, I'm
looking for
I'm shifting and it's just completely different feel, but it probably is a good thing that it's a Ford Mustang, so it's kind of stock car feeling. But it is totally different than our trucks.
Are they gonna let you have one, like to park in the driveway or any of that stuff?
Maybe we could work on them.
That sounds
we could
really
do a plug right now.
Yeah. Hey, Ford, come on, help us out a little bit here. Guy needs one in his driveway. Your wife wouldn't be too disappointed in that, would she?
Oh, no, she'd go for that.
Let's talk a little bit about your background a little bit. You're the ARCA champion. You've done a lot of late model stuff over the years. But what was interesting to me is you've got a marketing degree from the University of South Alabama. How did that prepare you for what the modern driver has to do now? Because it's not just drive well anymore.
I wish it was, but it's not. It's a lot about putting partners together and making it make sense for everybody. And I feel like my marketing degree there from USA has definitely helped that. It hasn't cured anything. It doesn't make it easy, that's for sure. I've got a lot of good people around me with Blackstone Management and the guys at ThorSport Racing. We all kind of work together to put guys like Champion Power Equipment, Curb Records, all these guys together to make it make sense to go racing because. Unfortunately, it's really expensive to do this. Yeah. So you gotta make it make sense. So we've been able to do that. We did a lot of activation there at the track, and it's a lot of fun.
Speaking of that, a lot of the talk has been about trying to cut costs in racing and trying not to get out-dollared, and that's been since the Stone Age, I guess, in racing. You can always get out-dollared. But in terms of these cost-cutting measures, and I realize you're not the accountant over at ThorSport, but has some of that started to help some now, or can you tell much?
I don't know. I mean, for every rule that they make, it doesn't necessarily save the teams. We're still buying.
You just spend it somewhere else, right?
It somewhere else.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and when they do make a rule to save us money, we're still spending money to save money. So,
yeah,
it's hard to say, but it pretty much a general rule is the cost of racing just keeps going up and up and up. And if you want to stay competitive like we do at ThorSport Racing, it costs a lot of money.
And you guys in the truck series have the new NT1. It's not really new anymore. The NT1 engine, and last year coming down the stretch, there was the whole thing about Moffitt and his team were running the Toyota engine, and then I think a couple of times at least, Crafton ran a Ford-built engine. Has that started to weed its way out more now?
I think that's kind of weeded its way out to this point. You never know. You go to Martinsville. I feel like the OEM engine could still compete there. But I think everywhere else, it's kind of filtered itself out. Most of the teams are running these NT1s.
Does it feel any different to you driving it?
It is, and it's really probably not the motor itself, it's the gearing. So the gear is a lot different. It accelerates. Honestly, from a driver's perspective, it doesn't accelerate quite as much, but there is a lot of torque there. There is a lot of horsepower there. It just, our gearing is probably 50, 60 points different at some of these places. So that's the biggest difference.
Like when you're on the 10-speed and you're in first gear versus 10th gear, and
Exactly.
you're pedaling either real hard and not going very fast, or pedaling really hard and not going very much.
Exactly. So the biggest difference, honestly, is coming up like at Martinsville, which Martinsville last year, there was a pretty even mix of the first race from OEMs to the NT1s. And they drove, to me, completely different, but they were both competitive. They were both very competitive. I think that was probably the best race last year as far as even playing field with both engines. But it really, from a competition standpoint, I feel like it needs to be just one because they are so drastically different.
And that's where you can wind up spending a ton of money quickly, right?
Yes. Once you get into having two motors, just like we said, something that was put in here to save us money, that didn't save us money now.
And then somebody in engineering starts going, wait, what if we do this? Or what if we do that? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's just how racing works. And it, from the same way from go-karts to the Cup Series.
All the way. You're never going to make that stop. All right, we're going to take another timeout here on MRN Out Loud. Grant Enfinger is our guest. He is the point leader in the Gander Outdoor Truck Series.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go. Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So cold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse, blooming great.
Experience different.
Boyer sees the checkered flag,
Experience excitement, drama, and action.
and he wins the STP 500.
Experience NASCAR at its best. Experience Martinsville. The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series returns to Martinsville Speedway March 24th for the STP 500. Tickets start at just $47 and are on sale now. Call 877-RACE-TICKS or visit martinsvillespeedway.com today to start your experience.
Back here on MRN Out Loud, presented by Outback Steakhouse. The trucks are off, but Grant Enfinger is here. They will be back the following week at Martinsville. And don't forget, next week is STP week right here on the Motor Racing Network. We'll have a lot of special programming surrounding that. Make sure you check it out and be a part of that because it's always cool, historical perspective heading in to Martinsville. As we get ready to go to Martinsville, I wanted to ask you a little bit. You mentioned something during the break that I wanted to get to, but ask about your crew chief, Jeff Hensley. He's always one of the guys I love talking to, make sure I visit with when I'm doing a truck race because he speaks English. He doesn't speak engineering-ese.
That's why me and Hensley get along so good. So we can communicate. That's for sure.
What's something that folks don't realize about him or don't know about him?
He just, anybody that does know him knows he's just truly old school mentality. He is a real racer. But he also believes in the history of the sport. He tries to keep us up to date on all that stuff. That's what I was mentioning at the break. Seems like half of his stories, which he's a big storyteller, all involve his shop there. And it's 20 minutes from the racetrack there
cool.
in Martinsville. So, and I've been racing for Hensley. This is going on my 3rd year, and I haven't been to a shop. So I told him I'm coming this year. So go ahead and get ready.
So is it still operational, or is it more like historical now?
I'd say some of both,
Yeah.
from what I understand. But like I said, I've never been there, so I'm looking forward to checking it out.
So does he like walk around in pajamas? Does he have a pet snake? What don't we know about Jeff?
I really don't know about that.
You'll
So
find out when you go up to the shop, right?
Find out when we get to the shop. So you can come too.
Okay, I'd love to go make a visit up there. That's really, there's so many teams that are from that area and so many racers who are from that area. The Wood brothers leap to mind. I mean, not from right in Martinsville, but obviously up at Stewart area. But Virginia is a hotbed for racers.
It really is. So, and you'd think whenever me and Hensley talk about Martinsville, you'd think he'd be really excited because, that's his home track and all, but that place can be frustrating too. So I think it's taken its toll on him over the years.
It really can.
So I think we've got a really good truck prepared. We're going to have Curb Records. Mike Curb and those guys have been a really big part of ThorSport racing. So hopefully we can come home with a clock this year.
Speaking of ThorSport, Duke and Rhonda just amaze me. Your team owners, Duke and Rhonda Thorson. When you see a team like
it's Monday, I feel very
they're
confident
going to be at Outback.
They're going to Outback tonight. That's their Monday night deal.
That's how they do. But when you see, for example, a team like Red Horse shutting its doors, they have just found a way to really make a niche in the truck series and have just made it work for them for decades.
Pretty much, from my understanding, all my talks with Duke, I mean, this is what he wants to do. He wants to go truck racing. He doesn't want to go in different directions. And it started out with just one truck and 24 years ago or whatever, and it's built into the 4 full-time trucks here in the series right now, and the longest tenured team,
yeah,
basically. So he's made sense for this long, and man, there's sometimes that you look and say, why do you do that? Well, the reason is he can sustain, he can do this, and to have competitive trucks for that long is just incredible.
It really is over the course of time. I mean, that's really the true test, isn't it? Time. I mean, anybody can get hot for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to. I shouldn't say it's easy. None of this is easy. But you see a lot of comers and goers in racing. You don't see a whole lot of stayers, and he has stayed in the truck series, and I think that's a testament to him, his mindset, and what he's been able to accomplish.
I know Joey and I joke about this a lot. Do you think we have a tendency to romanticize the past? Because just like we were talking about the new package earlier, everybody says, oh, the racing's got to be close. And then you see social media blow up. Well, back in the day, we used to, well, no, Richard Petty would win by 7 laps. Or, there were just a couple of cars or teams who were really capable of winning. We weren't 40 wide backwards and on fire at the stripe every week, right?
I think we do romanticize the past. And I mean, I do that for my own racing too. I mean, it's fun to say, oh, wouldn't it be great to go back racing late models and to do these things. But I mean, if you really think about it, it was a big struggle then too. Yeah. It's always been a struggle. It's going to continue to be a struggle if this is what you want to do. So yeah, from the fans aspect of the kind of racing they want to see, from the driver's standpoint, from the sponsorship aspect, it's never been easy.
Right. I mean, if it was, everybody would do it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. When you were growing up, who did you follow and admire from behind the wheel?
I'm an Alabama guy, so that's easy. Davey Allison.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Just got inducted into the Hall of Fame. I guess that had to be a special moment for everybody in the Alabama area.
I think everybody was ready for that, so it's pretty cool. Actually, Matt Crafton got to be a part of that, and I didn't realize it till this year that he was so close to Davey and all that. But that was definitely the guy I grew up admiring and went to see him at Talladega. And
I was going to say, did you ever get to meet him when you were a kid or anything?
No, I never got to meet him or anything like that. So
because a lot of times you see drivers post these pictures of when they were little kids getting an autograph of somebody who's now in the Hall of Fame or something like that.
Yeah, no cool stories like that. Sorry.
Well, what about your coming up in your karting and late model career? What's it like racing the short tracks in Alabama?
It was a struggle. Like I said, basically how I got started in racing, my dad didn't race, nobody in my family raced, but my dad was a big race fan, and I was pretty tenacious about telling him I wanted to go racing one day. So,
and did he kind of like, you'll get over it or something like that?
Yeah, for about 5 or 6 years, and I just kept on him, and finally he went and got a go-kart, and at age 11 we started racing out of the back of a pickup truck and then out of the back of a horse trailer for a while, and so we did it the full Alabama way, as you could say, and then went from the go-karts where we struggled and really didn't know what we were doing into the Legends cars, and that's really when I started taking it more serious and started spending every waking moment I had working on those things. And I feel like that's really where I learned to race.
Did you do other extracurricular stuff when you were in school or sports or anything, or was it pretty much all racing all the time?
When I was a kid, when I was younger, I'd go fishing with my dad every weekend, and then I'd start playing football and stuff like that. But when I got to be 11, started racing go-karts, and it was, hey, this is what we're doing.
That was the cutoff.
That was the cutoff.
What's the biggest fish you ever caught?
I really don't know.
Yeah?
I mean, probably amberjack or ling, saltwater fish.
Yeah, saltwater. Okay, yeah.
More our kind of fishing is like the brackish water that's half freshwater, half saltwater. Growing up in the coast of Alabama, that's kind of the fun fishing we do. Whenever I go home, I try to do the same thing. So you don't know if you're going to catch a bass or redfish or flounder. That's still relaxing to me.
If you don't catch anything much, that's okay too, right?
That's okay, but that's not fun.
Yeah, not as much fun anyway.
Yes, exactly.
It's just okay.
It's just okay.
So now, are you a guy who cooks them himself and cleans them himself and all that?
Yeah. So I don't fry a lot of fish, but we'll always clean them. And when I'm at my parents' house, they always fry them. And when I'm at home, I'll fillet them and we'll grill them, bake them, do something like that.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite one to eat?
I'd say flounder.
Oh yeah. It's hard to go wrong with a good flounder, right?
Hard to go wrong, especially fresh flounder.
Yeah.
Especially when you just caught.
That's as fresh as it can be instead of buying something frozen out of the grocery store, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's probably a no-no in your world, isn't it?
No, we don't do that.
All right, another break here on MRN Out Loud. We'll be back with more with Grant Enfinger next.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse, blooming great.
Check out MRN.com for a new podcast series called The Tough Trucks of NASCAR. 25 years and still trucking. We'll take you back to some great races.
Benson to the bottom of the racetrack. This is the race for the lead and the win at Michigan.
And some wild moments.
One truck is in the air. Matt Crafton upside down.
And we'll let you hear the stories behind them.
He was too bullheaded to let me pass him, and I was too bullheaded to let him have it.
Download the show for free on iTunes and at MRN.com.
Hi, this is Mike Backley. Join me and the rest of the MRN crew every Tuesday night for NASCAR Live. We'll get you up to date with the latest news stories and ready for the upcoming race weekend.
That's what it boils down to. Anything can happen in between, and we've seen it the last few years, kind of how crazy things can get.
Hear exclusive interviews, expert analysis, and much more.
Wheel that thing, brother, wheel it. That's why you never give up, guys. Never give up.
It's NASCAR Live this Tuesday night at 7 Eastern on the Motor Racing Network.
Welcome back to MRN Out Loud. Woody Kane along with Grant Enfinger, the Gander Outdoors Truck Series point leader. Austin Hill has a victory, so he's got his playoff ticket punched. But you are leading the standings right now as we get another week off and then head over to Martinsville. I want to remind the fans that our Tough Trucks of NASCAR podcast series, episode 4 is out this week, and it's all about the fantastic finishes that have happened in the Truck Series. A lot of history, a lot of great stories in this series. And I don't know about you, but I can't believe it's been 25 years of truck racing.
It's been crazy. I remember watching them on TV and having the halfway breaks and all that kind of stuff. I just can't believe it's been 25 years.
Do you like that? Did you like the halfway break, or you like what we do now more?
I did personally back then. I thought it was really cool. I go through different I guess ways of thinking as far as this goes. I think that it would save a lot of money for a lot of teams if we cut out the pit crews, but pit crews are part of racing. That's part of. It's not just the driver. It's not just the crew chief. It's not just the truck. I mean, pit crews are part of this deal, so I like that we have them.
I mean, they train and learn and want to advance just like you guys want to climb the ladder as well. And if you don't, you can't really advance as effectively if you haven't been through that experience.
Exactly. So I do kind of wish that the guys that worked on the truck during the week had to pit the truck. I do think that'd be kind of cool if we could go kind of back to that in the truck series, but I mean, we can talk about the rules we change.
I mean, now they're football players and former athletes and all that stuff, right? I mean, it's evolved a whole lot.
It has. So we're blessed to have a great team behind us this year that have been knocking out some really good pit stops. But you know, sometimes it's like that, and sometimes it's not. You know, and you do have a diverse group. There's some guys that are pitting for trucks on Friday night that are pitting for really good cup cars on Sunday too. So you get a diverse mix. You do.
How does ThorSport do it?
We basically have a few different contracts. So Hendrick does one for us. Roush does 2 teams. The team for our 98 group is kind of a hodgepodge of some good guys led by Pop Tart. Everybody's got a nickname in the pit crew world if you hadn't figured
fantastic.
that out. So Pop Tart is in charge of our guys, and they've been banging out some really good pit stops this year. So good job.
Yeah, they really have. They've been making it happen for you guys. We got just a couple of minutes left. Let's talk a little bit more about Martinsville coming up, the true short track, paperclip shape. The thing I've always wondered about is you don't really see much of it like you do at Martinsville with that big curb in the turns on the inside. Does that something that's kind of up in your mind, or is it just kind of second nature? You know you're not going to be able to go down there.
It's kind of second nature, but every once in a while you'll try to squeeze in underneath somebody, and they'll come down, and you'll jump the curve and do crazy stuff that you never intended on doing, and that's just part of racing in Martinsville. I'm really excited about getting back there. I'm a short track guy at heart, so I'm really looking forward to it. But Martinsville and me don't really have the best of relationships. A lot of times it seems like at the end of the race, everybody goes crazy, and sometimes it works out for us, sometimes it doesn't. I think the spring race we were able to end up with a good finish, 3rd or 4th last year. And
that was the one after the snowstorm, right?
After the snowstorm, we raced on Monday.
Yeah.
The second race we had all kinds of issues and finished towards the back. So I am looking forward to getting there. I feel like we'll have good speed. We've had good speed all year so far. So I don't think Martinsville will be any different. We really need a clock. We need to go ahead and get us a clock and get us solidified into the playoffs early so we can start planning to what we're going to do once we get in the playoffs.
I mean, everybody talks about if you've got that win, then you can start trying some crazy things. Is it that far out, or is it just allow you to be more aggressive?
I think it allows us to try certain setup aspects on the truck that we normally wouldn't. And it also lets
to learn something for later.
But it also lets Jeff Hensley call a race to win a race rather than call a race for stage points.
Yeah.
So that's some of the things that, especially at a track like Martinsville, can bite you. If you need stage points, like we need stage points, it kind of plays with the crew chief's head on whether we go for the win or we go for these sure things with the stage points. So that's why I want to win early, so we can keep winning.
I mean, how odd is that? I mean, think about it. If in a football game, for example, the head coach thinks, well, I'm not necessarily concerned about the win. I just want to put a lot of points on the board. That's just so odd.
It's different. It's a different way of thinking. It took myself and Jeff Hensley all of 2017 to realize that, hey, we got to change our way of thinking here. 2017, we really struggled with stage points. Last year, we excelled in that. That was our high point. So, but it's a different way of thinking. It's a different way of calling the race. But I know Hensley wants to win early so he can call the race how he wants to. So that's our biggest
Go
point
back
right
to
now.
Old school calling a race for the victory. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, I have a sense, and you just touched on it, that everybody kind of underestimated how important that was going to be.
I don't know if everybody did, but we
Most.
definitely did. On the 98 team, we definitely did. So, and it definitely bit us because in 2017, we had a lot of really good finishes. And, I mean, we showed good speed, but we did not play to the point system very well. So we changed our way of thinking, and we excelled in that last year.
One last thing I wanted to ask you is, I'm curious. I asked Alex Bowman this a couple of weeks ago at Las Vegas, since they've got a 4-car team. What is a debrief like with you guys? I mean, think of the different personalities. You and Johnny Sauter and Matt Crafton and Ben Rhodes. That's got to be like Comedy Central when you guys get together, isn't it?
It can be.
Yeah?
It can be.
Who speaks a lot and who's kind of quiet?
You know, ours are more informal debriefs. So basically, like after practice, I normally kind of make my way to each trailer, you know, depending on how we're running and how they're running or kind of the questions that I'm asking. And then, you know, after the race, it's if you see somebody talk about it, but we don't have as many formal meetings. They kind of leave it up to us drivers to talk and communicate and help ourselves.
I mean, it's got to be tough because obviously you're going to want something a little different than what Ben wants or Johnny wants or Matt wants, right? I mean, and it might not apply to what you're trying to do.
It might not always apply, but we do always try to communicate, and we try to communicate with the crew chiefs as well. So we got we definitely have some different personalities there from a driver's standpoint that that you touched on, but also from a crew chief standpoint too.
Mm-hmm.
So got a lot of different personalities in the group there with Hensley, Junior Joyner, Matt Noyce, who just came on board, and as well as Joe Shear. So we got some smart guys in the building, but definitely very different personalities.
It's like having a Wikipedia right in the room, isn't it, with all those guys around? Hey, one more time before we go, tell folks about your big adventure this weekend. That's going to be fun.
Really looking forward to getting down to Sebring. Can't say thank you enough to the guys at Ford Performance for letting us drive these Mustangs this weekend. They gave us a few laps on the simulator the other day at Ford Performance. So
how'd you do?
I don't think I did good, but I didn't wreck it too bad. So
too bad.
Hopefully I can say that again next week.
Yeah. At least on the simulator, nobody has to fix anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But like I said, I'm going to be a fish out of water, but I'm really looking forward to the challenge, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun for sure. Grant, thanks for your time. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's been a lot of fun, and we look forward to catching back up with you again at Martinsville.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, there you go, guys. Next week, Joey will be back. As far as I know, he's on special assignment this week, but we will be right back here on the Motor Racing Network, MRN Out Loud, every Monday. And if you are watching on a Monday, don't forget you can go by and get that free Bloomin' Onion at Outback because Kevin Harvick reeled off another top 10. Next week, we've got Xfinity Series racing and Cup racing at Auto Club Speedway. Check MRN.com for scheduling information and all the latest NASCAR Live every Tuesday night, 7 Eastern. See you next week.